Thank you for leading this or that. We are back, y'all. See, here's the important thing about this particular episode. This is our first episode of the season, fellas. We back. We
Season 2.
back. For those of you who were around with us first season, listen, we love it. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We are friends, and we love to prioritize and push the friendship and our connection and relationship with God. But sometimes, like all people, we get caught up in life, and we don't really get the chance to catch up like we really know we should be catching up or doing the things we know we need to do. So listen, fellas, this all started with friendship. We know where it started at, right? During the pandemic, specifically looking for ways to connect and build with each other, we started this Saturday devotional where, us and even a few other guys, we would get on Saturdays, every other Saturday, and we would just chop it up and catch up and just try to build some community and sense of like normalcy during the pandemic. And so post pandemic, we decided to start this podcast because we knew that this was a space that we needed. And if we needed it, someone else may need it. And so in the spirit of how we started this joint, y'all, where y'all at? What's going on? Let's catch up real quick.
Yeah, because we ain't talked in like probably since before the holidays. For real.
Yeah.
What y'all got going on?
Really caught up, yeah.
I say I can go. It's a lot of different directions I can go. So I don't know. We want to start in a certain category of topics. I will say what I'm first being led to is that spiritually, and in terms of my relationship with God, I'm in a season of reconnecting. Just the busyness of life, and typically what can happen, and I'm working to do a better job of this. But when you get busy and you get on autopilot and you just moving, the things that should be most important tend to be things you take for granted and don't prioritize time and effort into, which for me happened in my relationship with God, So my prayer life decreased, my scripture reading decreased, my time praying with my wife and my family decreased. And I've gotten to that point now where, it's kind of like when you get overweight, you look in the mirror and you like, I got to get myself together and discuss with myself. I got to that point where I feel too distant from God and I feel just disconnected from my, inner spirit. So I'm getting back in practice, man. I'm getting back in the spiritual gym, getting back right, non-negotiable 10, 15-minute time with God every morning when I wake up, even before I hit the gym, even before I get on my phone and do anything else. Increasing my prayer time, my study time. That's kind of a big area where I'm at right now. Back in it.
Yeah, that just hit my spirit real tough. You know what? I know we early for that. I got something that I really want to share with y'all and talk about, but I'm gonna say that for Patreon because it's a little heavy, and I'm gonna let the people who come to Patreon come into that heaviness. But that hit my spirit. I resonate with that deeply.
Yeah. I got finished reading the Quran, bro. I ain't finished it. I'm like, I was in it for a minute and then I stopped. But you know what what happened, Yusha? Because remember, I asked you like, hey, so for my first time reading it, like which translation should I read? And you gave me a recommendation. And I couldn't find the audiobook, but I found another one. I started listening to it. And then I lost it. Like I couldn't find that same translation. I didn't like any of the other audiobooks I was finding. So I was like, you know what? I need to just order it on Amazon and actually read it. So I am about to order it because I want to finish that thing.
Well, you know what? I want to send you an invitation, man. Ramadan starts March 1st. You know what I'm saying? And we got to read the entire Quran in 30 days. So, you know what I'm saying?
What's the regimen of that? How much a day do you have to read to get through the whole thing?
Oh, every physical Quran is broken down into what they call 30 juz. And so when you get your Quran, I'll show you, but it's already broken down in there. So it'll show you where to stop at each day.
Say less. I'm down. Anybody else? I'm not just talking to y'all, but in our listeners in the community that want to join in on that. Hey, like if you obviously, like if you're Muslim, you're going to be doing it anyway. But for those that are not, like myself, and are just curious and just want to continue to explore and grow spiritually, hey, that's a great challenge. March 1st. That's better. Make sure I have it ordered before then.
Hey, Colin, I wanted to tell you, man, I can resonate with just, I don't know if you said reconnecting or getting closer with God, but mine is in specific is like increasing my faith um, through acts. And the reason why I'm saying that is, man, I realized that 24, I was paralyzed, like just idled in my own thoughts, idle in my own actions. And a lot of things happened in 24 that caused me. I got in an accident. I didn't get a job that I was shooting for. My wife had a new job, so transitioning at home. So a lot of things kind of just kept me idle, even with my own business. So this year is really more about not being idle, really taking action despite not really knowing, right, what the next phase of my life gonna look like. And the reason why I say that too is because y'all know I turned 40 last year. So I mean, I don't know if it's a thing or if it's not a thing, right? But particularly for me, it was more about, it was trying to figure out what this new part of my life is going to look like, right? Because I realized that everything that I did up until 24, which was good work, but it was time for a change, right? I didn't really necessarily know what that change was. I still kind of don't, but I know in this new phase, it's about reestablishing like my new methodology, my new way of like pursuing life, the way I think about life. So I spent a lot of time, man, the last month really just reestablishing my goals, reestablishing my targets, reestablishing myself. I'm probably getting a little too more into working and winning, but that's really been what's been going on with me. And then health-wise, I think I've been telling y'all just offline, at 40, man, I don't know what's happening, but what's happening is me thinking more about my health more than anything. Like I wake up thinking about my health, you know what I mean? And then just hearing about so many men around me, so many people around me in my age group going through some health issues too, right? Or not health issues, but like now it's the time where like health is becoming a number one priority as a Black man, right? Just to be honest with you, man, it's terrifying. And so I've been increasing my faith and my actions through that just to make sure I realize that, like, you only get one temple, you only get one life, you only get one like journey, right? And so I'm not choosing to live in a space of fear over my body, because that's not what I'm here for, right? I'm not here to live in a fear over my body. I'm here to use my body as a weapon to like fight. And that's just talking, man. I'm just rapping to y'all.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like where I'm at.
Nah, but I want to, and I don't know how much you want to discuss here in this space or on Patreon or offline, but I want to go back to like your 2024 challenges, because you said some things that, well, I don't want to assume, but like, were you in a dark place or a low place, or like where were you with some of those obstacles in 2024?
Oh, and not to mention we started a podcast. But no, I wasn't in a dark place because there was so much good happening around me, right? My wife turned 40, she got a new job. Even me realizing that like there was more life after the accident that I've been in, me realizing that like I had to focus and finding out that like there's a new journey in front of me. It's not necessarily I was in a dark place. I was really paralyzed because I didn't know which way to like go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, y'all know me, I'm okay with sitting and reflecting and like analyzing. And so like I wasn't in a dark place, I was in the lab, really. Like it was almost like pledging. You know what I mean? If anybody's pledged, it was almost like being pushed through a process. A process I quite frankly asked for because I was looking for change. And if anybody knows that, right, you want to be elevated or, change, like you got to go through something. And like, I was going through something, not necessarily, and they say God won't put nothing too heavy on you. And it wasn't heavy. It was just a process. And so like, that's really what it was, Colin. I wasn't in the dark place. It was just me realizing like, damn, man. And the lab that I was in was different than the lab that I used to be in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So just because this might help somebody else listen too, because this is difficult for me and maybe a lot of men, because we, especially like on our caliber of men, like we're constantly like wanting to excel and to grow and to achieve, and we're always looking for like the next goal and the next goal, and we just want this steady progression. And that's not like reality. Like that's not real life, right? Like sometimes you are in a season of just sitting still. Sometimes you're in a season of like surviving, you know. And I was watching last Sunday, what they call it, Bedside Baptist, right? We was watching church on YouTube because we didn't go to church. Actually, I think they were closed because of the weather down here. But hadn't listened to Mike Todd in a while. We had Mike Todd on Transformation Church, and he was just talking about like the different seasons he had gone through since he became pastor. And one of them years, he was like, yeah, this was a survive year. It was just like, God was just like, yo, just survive everything you going through. Like, I don't need you, or just maintain, like, I don't need you to strive, thrive, nothing. Like, just survive this. And then the next season was like, all right, now we're going to keep moving. And he was talking about like some people struggle in those seasons because you trying to thrive when you supposed to just survive. Like the enemy is attacking from every angle, life just lifing, and you sitting here trying to still progress. And it's like, nah, this not the season for that. Just sit still and survive this.
Yeah, I don't
And
want to take that.
that was like mind blowing to me because I'm like, dang, that's why I be getting so frustrated sometimes because I'm sitting here trying to move and I'm supposed to just sit still and be right here.
Coming out of Black History Month, man, you know that made me thought about the movie 12 Years a Slave. And he was like, man, I don't want to survive. I want to live. But it's like in context, because I'm a visual person. In context, when I heard you say that, it's like, dog, like sometimes you're in situations where trying to thrive will get you killed. When God is saying, sit where you are, I got you, survive. Even if I take it back to biblical or scriptural context, even the story of Joseph, when they put Joseph in jail for all them years because he didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, mess with the high priest's wife. He stood and he survived. And then when it was time for God to elevate his condition. And so what I love about that in context to you, Ali, is that if we follow scripture or if we follow like how God has worked with people, whether it be through Joseph or it be through Moses, or if it even be through just the people of Israel, after a period of lowliness, or what could appear to be lowliness, right? With the right posture with God, he always shows that like he elevates those people to the highest station in that land. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we go through them periods so that we can become something different. And what I love about what you said though is a spiritual law too, right? It's the law of polarity. And it's we could choose to say, hey, this isn't going right, things are bad, you know, I didn't get this, and we could live in that space. But faith says, always know that there's no such thing as good or bad. There is always progression, right? Especially if we follow Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you. So God is saying, like, oh, don't see this as a deficit or a decline or a difficult moment. See this as, you know, preparation for where I'm taking you. And if you have that level of faith and focus, or you can just find the good things in your life, like you said, there was some good things going on too. That you can keep your spirit in a place of gratitude, and God can bless you even in what looks like a troubling season.
Yeah, that's real, man. Sean, what you been up to, bro?
About the same. I mean, that's why I really haven't jumped in, because there's nothing really different that I can say. I can empathize with a lot of what you stated, Colin, as it pertains to the spirit, with what you stated, Ali, as it pertains to like just stagnation. For me, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was paralyzed. I would say that I fell off from practicing a lot of the small intentional things continually every single day that would keep me anchored or grounded, right? That provide like those guardrails as I journey. And because I have not been doing that, my guardrails kind of went away. And so now I find myself kind of straying off of the guided path, quote unquote, whether it be chasing certain business ventures, whether it be certain things that I watch, or, you know, just being fatigued, right? Because now you're not driving on a paved road, you're driving on gravel. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I empathize with all of it, man. And for me, it's crazy because, you know, you find that you speak this to other people more often than you may even remind yourself of the need, right? But what I've been telling specifically my niece is to just lay a brick a day, just focus on laying a brick a day. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I am, where I need to get back to. Like just focusing on what can I do today, and then let everything else. Let me worry about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Brick
say
by brick.
something to this concept of surviving, and I think what you do when you survive, when you're surviving, and giving power to the fact that like there has been some really good things in it, right? And like not just giving power to like the negative things that you're going through and what comes out of that. Because last year, my family thrived, right? My girls in school and my daughter went from, hating math to loving math.
Mm.
My youngest daughter, she went from just starting gymnastics to really being like at the height of her, just loving gymnastics, right? Finding some passion in gymnastics. My wife was able to pick a career, just up and leave her job and get a better career with benefits. You know what I mean? She turned 40. Everybody was healthy. You understand what I'm saying? One of the biggest things that happened for me that I knew I was intentional about was building my community. And it happened, right? I got closer with y'all. My relationships with y'all got closer, intentional, right? I remember me and you talking at the very beginning of the year about our relationship last year, a lot, right? And the fast forward now, it's gotten a lot closer, right? That was intentional. So a lot of things that I said that I wanted to do in terms of cultivating my community, being a kingdom builder, right? Being, getting together with some of my old friends, and a lot of that stuff happened. And I want to make sure that like we give power to this idea that like when you are choosing to be in the lab and choosing to quote unquote survive, it's not a space of like defeat, right? And it's also a space of when you choose to go there, it's what you do, right? There's a song out there, I forget what it's called, Waiting on the Lord or something. I'll get the song for y'all, but right, it's what you do when you wait. It's what you do when you wait, right? And it always doesn't look like what you think it's supposed to look like. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I speak to that, Joe.
No, that's real.
Yeah, because it's a lot of talk about like what Black men are going through, but not giving enough power to like what's happening and the good things that's coming out of that, because we're still here and we still pushing. So I just wanted to make sure we keep elevating as well as, reflecting and analyzing.
Let me ask you a question about what you just said, Ali. What do you think is the origin of that as to why, what is publicized is what you just said, like the fact that, it's not a lot of credence that's given to everything that a Black man is dealing with?
One, because it's real trauma and triggers, right? So one is it's a part of the healing process in general, just to acknowledge, right? But there is a overindulgence on, right, the traumas and the triggers. So you know what I mean? And it's being, 10 times multiplied through social media, right? And so what I think why that's the case is it's always been the case for a Black man to put the trauma in your face, right? And for us to hold it as a reason to like push through. You know what I mean? One of the famous things that we hold high is like rappers and entertainers and sports figures, right? And the biggest thing they glorify in that situation, right, is a Black man going through a struggle and the result of it being like quote unquote money in the win, right? And so like that's just why. You ask me why. That's just society. That's the reason why. But I am trying to, and we are trying to build a community, right? And you should speak about it a lot, where we really need to balance this out and bring more power to this concept of like, nah, bro, like you going through that, but like you gotta see that like God isn't only taking you through this just so that you can overindulge in that, but like overindulge in the result, the process, the pushing through, and be anchored by that. We're not anchored by the success, right? We anchored by the trauma.
I'm looking up something for y'all. Somebody else is trying. I got something I want to share though. Make sure I got the right words.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I guess I'm just more so curious as to what we can do to break those chains, quote unquote, right? Which one thing that we've done is we've created a community. right? But once you create that community, you have to be intentional about speaking to that community, about seeking, assistance from that community, even if that's in the form of support. But then also being intentional about giving back to the community and nurturing that soil. And I think that we are doing a good job, but we have a lot of work to grow. We have a lot of work to do, even within the intentional community that we built. We started off this episode talking about how we haven't caught up really since the holidays, which life is life. We all know that. But it's crazy how as soon as we start talking, you see the connective threads in what we've been experiencing.
Because we so connected, we're gonna experience things together, which is why it's important for us in this community to highlight and celebrate, to talk about everything, but to highlight and celebrate the wins and to stay in a spirit of gratitude, because birds of a feather flock together. You are who you hang around. And so I've experienced that too over the course of years with closer friends. Like it's like what people experience, we all kind of start to experience. So, my hope is that we always help each other find the good, because then that's going to be the space. Like y'all said something that was key. So in workforce development, right? Y'all know I do some workforce development leadership training. And one of the things I would have people do is take like these 5 categories, right? Religion, family, career and work, personal growth and health. And I would have them put them in order. And typically my order would always have relationship as the last thing of importance to me, right? Not that it's not important, but as the last thing of importance to me, because my thought process was, if I ain't tapped in with God, if I ain't personally growing, if I ain't making no money and my health ain't good, what good am I to other people?
Yeah.
The problem with that perspective is that's a perspective from 10 years ago. But the problem with that perspective now is even based on what we're saying today. I was looking at, as a Black man, I was only looking at relationships as it connected to my responsibility to people, and never looking at relationships in terms of people's responsibility to me, right? And so it was always, relationships to me was always the thing I got to last when I had enough energy to bless people. What community is teaching me is that relationships should have been higher on the meter, because what I've learned is that I ain't the superhero I thought I was. And in my most difficult times, I needed the people. Prime example, we hadn't talked since before the holidays, not since the holidays, since before the holidays. And one of the things that I want to catch y'all up on is the experience that I got to have. So y'all know I've been in DC, 15, Gianna 16, so 15, 16 years. And in this 15 to 16 years, I've never had, let me speak more affirmatively. This was the first year, and I hope, it continues, that I've had the ability to just go home and sit. Right? Being a full-time entrepreneur, I can kind of make those decisions differently. And I went home and had the ability to just sit and be. And when I say sit and be, I mean not think about work, because I wasn't sitting still. I wouldn't think about work. I was thinking only about family. So I spent time with my first cousins on my mama's side. Had a chance to catch up with a family that my dad used to go to church with, and that I was real close with growing up. Got to chill with my aunties on both sides, my Aunt Baba Jean, my Aunt Eva. Got a chance to talk to my Aunt Elsie. Spent some time with my sister, my cousin. Even came back for a little bit for my birthday, and y'all did pull up for the birthday, and then went back to North Carolina with Gianna. Got to spend some time. Like, dog, I got to see my brother. Like, I really had time, like 2 weeks in Reedsville, Greensboro area, to just sit and be with family. And one of the best experiences I had was sitting with my father's family, my father's first cousins. My father's first cousin, my cousin Ronnie, 81. His sister Peggy, 82. When I tell you Peggy still go bowling, I called Ronnie one morning. He said, man, I just left the gym. When I tell you sitting with family, they loved up on me, and Gianna, with no expectation. It was free love. And I said, oh, that's really why the relationships is key. Because it put energy into you when you don't have it to give yourself. And it's not that you won't have to give it to yourself, but I feel like in isolation mode, because Black men, we know it, we go in isolation mode. In isolation mode, it's really stuck on you and God. And the thing is, God is not like I'm not saying that like God ain't the source that you can lean into, but God uses people. And so what happens is when you sit in isolation, you're trying to get yourself back to a higher frequency or high vibration. But the real thing that you need, which is the highest vibration on the planet, is love. And it's in the relationships that you've pushed away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that balance, y'all. I know we got transition, but I just want to share this real quick. It's that balance, right? And I think that's how I ended up getting in this space where I was just like, now I got to get back in my regiment, because I was enjoying that space so much of just like, I just be, and everything's not a hustle and bustle, and, being in education, having a couple weeks off for the break and all that. And I was just like waking up, just like, I ain't on no schedule. I'm just, I'm here. And then I was like, all right, I got to get back in some routine now, though. But being a visual person like you should, this has me thinking about a song and a visual with that song. So one of the dopest rappers, I think, out of Detroit, it's a guy by the name of Royce the 5'9", and my favorite Royce song is Caterpillars. And just thinking about that, like, hey, put some respect on them caterpillars when they in that cocoon season, man. Like, we always talk about the butterflies, but so this part of the song right here, and y'all should definitely go check out the song when you get a chance. Next to you that don't want the best for you. It's completely normal to hold on to a regret or two. I do what I want to do, they do what I let them do. Everything niggas be saying is a effing lie. It's nothing I can say to you that is realer. Remember, when you praising the butterfly, don't you ever disrespect the effing caterpillar. And it just got me thinking about, hey, listen, if you in that caterpillar cocoon season, man, like, you don't get to the butterfly without that, So I just had that visual. I was talking about this survival, this, y'all don't see the flashy bells and whistles, but I'm in this season right here where we doing a lot of great work. So I just wanted to share that before we transition. But
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. I think this is a good point and good segue into what we're talking about in terms of just making sure we stay uplifted, making sure we continue to stay connected, which means season 2 is going to be even more and more of us, maybe even less of us, because we're bringing more guests, right? We having more IG live events when we bringing in more people to talk about what they're going through so we can stay connected. We're collaborating with other people. Shout out to Still Standing, man. Yep. That's coming. And we're going to spotlight some community people, man. People in the community. You know what I mean? We got some business people. We got some just dope fathers. We got some dope mothers. We got some business women, right, that we want to rap to on our community spotlight. So, yeah, man. Colin, tell us a little bit more about the community spotlights, bro.
Yeah, sure. So, y'all will see this starting next episode, guys. But definitely want to have a new segment called Community Spotlight. And if you have, whether it's a business, like he said, or like it's a nonprofit or whatever kind of work you're doing out in the community, we want to allow you to use our platform to highlight that, because we want to be intentional in the type of work we do and sharing that out with everybody. So if you're one of those people, please connect with us. You can hit us in the DMs, in the comments, and we'll make sure we get you lined up to shout you out on an upcoming episode, or maybe even on some of the other platforms we have. Also, just some other updates, guys. We're going to 2 episodes a month now. So we used to drop only once a month. We're going 2 a month. One of these days we'll get like the big wigs out there that got big budgets, and we'll go to every week. But we need y'all help in the community to get there. So as you see things coming out, guys, if you're enjoying this, the easiest way to contribute to the work that we do and continue is to just join Patreon. We have different levels, and it's just a few dollars a month helps us out a great deal, and you get extra access and content and different resources as in response to that. But also, if you just want to donate to us, like we'll have some things out there where you can just donate some funds so we can continue to do the work we do. We're going to be doing some more IG lives. Yusha has a great segment coming up called Tap In Thursdays, where we're going to be able to connect with him in the mornings. And I'm probably going to be joining in on a lot of those, man, and just getting our spirits right, going into the end of the week and the weekend. And then I'm going to be doing bringing back Car Talks with Colin, and I'm going to be consistent with that. Also, going to be a lot of guests on that. like we talked about, more guests.
Can I get an invite to Car Talk? Can I
come
get
on, man. Anytime,
this
man.
one, you
Yeah,
know?
it's definitely gonna be an evening thing. It's gonna be in the evenings. But yeah, and then as we stated, still standing. We're gonna be at that conference this year. That's a big thing, fellas. Tickets will be out soon. If they're not out already, we'll have all the links there for you guys. But the first year, Still Standing conference will be open to men and women. So it's a great time, man. You don't just got to buy your lady a ticket for Mother's Day. You can go with her. It could be a whole family affair. Your mom, your sister, your wife, whoever. Anybody.
Or you might meet a lady there.
Hey, listen. You know what I mean? Because singles come through. And that's gonna be major. It's gonna be at Ivy City Smokehouse this year. So they doing big things for all my people in the DMV. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, hey, don't be surprised, man, if you see that logo next to Colin on a hat or somewhere, man. Just don't be surprised, man. We moving forward, trying to get some big things coming your way.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, when we do get that, we're gonna do Patreon for our folks. Speaking of Patreon, I don't know if any of y'all have anything a little more personal y'all want to share. I do got a little bit of drama at work I'm dealing with right now. I haven't had a chance to talk to y'all about, which I said I don't want to talk about at all on here live, but you know what? I am gonna talk about it on Patreon for our Patreon subscribers. So for our Patreon folks, tap in. If you're not a Patreon subscriber and you just want to be nosy, join Patreon. You can see this conversation we're gonna have about a little bit of my work drama with the fellas.
I mean, some of the episodes we got coming, they teeter on between should they be on Patreon or not. I mean, I could just think of one live episode we did for season 2, bro. Like, I feel like the whole episode might need to be on Patreon. You know what I mean? But season 2 gonna be hot.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. I keep telling you, look, the more we do this, the better we get. I'm proud to just see the progression that we've made in terms of how we record, how we function with each other, and how we show up in this space. But of course, the key here, man, is just to truly be in alignment with our 7 pillars. We want y'all to know that this season is about being in alignment with our 7 pillars, because these are the things we do. Sean, can you give them the 7 pillars again? Make sure they're clear and they understand what our pillars are.
Sure. Friendship, transparency, accountability, healing, safety, growth, and community.
So a lot of the conversations, thank you, Sean, is going to just make sure that we're in alignment with that, right? We want to build that with each other. We want to build that for you, and we want to build it with you. And so we're also just thinking about ways that y'all can be more a part of what we do. So whether it ends up coming, listen, we don't know what God gonna do. We gonna do what we gonna do, but we know the God factor be kicking in when he be ready, right? So we just want you to stay ready, because we might be like, hey, we're gonna do a fellas retreat, pull up. Or we might be like, hey, we're going to go, do this thing, pull up. We're going to do this event, pull up. So we want you to be in mind that, like, we got things planned this season and season to come. But when God moves, we respond. And we're putting ourselves in position to be able to respond so that we can create a space that we all need, where more people can come get that thing that's needed. Anybody? Do we miss anything on just updating folks on what we got coming?
Nah, I thought you about to transition. Nah, we good. I think we got it. I forgot about the in-person events. My bad.